My ex-wife contacted me and told me about the man she cheated with and left me because of bullying. I'm 31 and my ex-wife Claire is 35. We were married 10 years ago right when I turned 21 and graduated college. We were married 5 years. During my whole marriage, I thought we were happy. I certainly was, anyway. I worked in the IT field and still do. We never got into fights during our marriage and our sex life seemed to be satisfying. A couple of months before I finally caught her with her affair partner, she turned cold to me. Whereas before she had loved to initiate sex and loved having it with me, suddenly we tapered off. Every day turned into once a week, then for the last 2 weeks before I outed her, not at all. I caught her because she had left her phone out and it was still open to a naked selfie that she had sent to a number I didn't know. Although I was crushed, I kept my head on and took photos of her phone with my phone. I saw her message stream with her boyfriend, some guy from the gym that I was paying her bill for. I didn't confront her. The text told me all I needed to know. They had been screwing while I was at work and in my bed. I just kept quiet. Then the following Saturday, when I knew she would be at her supposed double yoga class and that's why I'll be gone 3 hours, I loaded my stuff into my car and left. I had talked to a divorce attorney and I would be fine. I was 25 and didn't have serious money. Her father had passed away and left her like $200K, so she was rolling in dough. I had no claim on that money, nor should I have had one. We had no kids, although she had always claimed we would start having kids when she turned 30. That birthday came and went, but rather than start having kids with me, she decided to just spread her legs for someone else. Although I was the sole income earner, she was in possession of a vast amount of money, by my standards, and also had a college degree and was a schoolteacher for 2 years before we got married. The divorce papers were left on the kitchen table. She of course blew up my phone later with all kinds of apologies and begging and pleading, but I ignored her. A lot of her friends tried to call me and left nasty messages about how I was a coward and never loved her, otherwise how could I ghost her? I ignored all of them. The only person I called was the guy's wife, who promptly dumped him. But I guess it worked out for my ex because she and her boyfriend got married just a few months after the divorce finalized. The only time I ever saw her again was in front of the judge to end our divorce case, where I had to pay 0 alimony and it was a clean break. She never looked at me once but kept her head down. She brought her boyfriend from the gym and he was flexing, trying to look hard like he was going to fight me. I just shook my head at him and thought he gets what he pays for. I've been on dates since then and have had sex a few times since then, but have never been in a long-term relationship since. This was my own choice. In a lot of ways, I'm not over my relationship with her. I don't love her anymore, but I'm turned off to loving anyone now. I reconnected with some of my friends I had neglected during my marriage since my wife disapproved of me being friends with anyone. Facebook used to be an app one used, but pretty much anyone I care about I already see and converse with face to face or on the phone, so I never use it anymore. Apparently Claire had spun a narrative that I was mentally abusive and that's why she had no choice but to leave me for a fair partner. My parents didn't buy it and my close associates didn't buy it either. But she tried selling that crap to my boss to get me fired, I guess as revenge against me ruining her boyfriend's marriage. Ironic that she caped for his marriage when it was his new bachelorhood that helped make a relatively honest woman out of her. I just showed my boss the text where my ex begged for mercy and forgiveness and admitted she was having an affair and that I was a good husband, etc. He just told me he was sorry and gave me 2 weeks paid off to rest. Fast forward 6 years. I'm still single and just working in my same field and at same company, but making more money now and I am doing pretty well for myself. My own apartment, I've got savings, I've got a 401k, a car, and am generally happy. I do what I want, when I want, and answer to no one. I suppose I could put a down payment on a house, but I don't need one, and I'm happy where I'm at. But last week my ex started texting me again. I never blocked her number, since there was no need to. She hadn't been trying to contact me anymore since the flurry of old messages a long time ago begging me not to divorce her and telling me the other guy, who she is now married to, didn't mean anything to her, blah blah blah. At first her messages were just friendly. Hi OP, it's Claire. Long time no see. How are you? I know I fucked up. Can I call you? Then she tried to call me. At least 10 times. I didn't pick up, and I didn't answer any of her texts either. OP, this is still your number, right? I talked to mutual acquaintance, and he says this is still your number since you replied to him on it. Please talk to me. She then told me how much she missed me and how I was the only man who was ever good to her. Then she started sharing information. OP, a fair partner, is such a bastard. He hurts me. I don't know what to do. I made the biggest mistake of my life throwing you away. You were the best thing that ever happened to me. I still ignored her. Then she started naming off different ways that he hurt her. I don't ever want to contact her again, so I texted our mutual acquaintance, a person who had joined in on calling me a coward years ago but with whom I still have some contact because I know his family, and told him what Claire told me, and asked him to get into contact with the proper authorities if what she's saying is true, because I don't give a motherfucking shit about Claire anymore, and I don't care if she starved to death in the street or died, but maybe her friends care. I actually used those words. Looking back, it's obvious I do care, if I bothered to try to send such a hateful message through an intermediary, but I didn't want to get involved otherwise. I also think Claire is trying to manipulate the former nice guy I used to be. The old me would have rushed to her rescue and be a shoulder to cry on. Not anymore. The acquaintance told me I was an evil person and a monster and blah blah blah. I told him to fuck himself and blocked him. For the first time in forever I logged into Facebook. As expected, no one that I used to think of as a friend had ever tried to message me to comfort me or help me back when I was first getting cheated on and divorced. I had gotten a lot of support from my family and actual friends and coworkers who had since become outside friends. Tons of people who were her friends had been sending me messages now, telling me they were right to support her because I was abandoning her in her time of need. Like seriously, WTF. What am I supposed to do? I'm her ex-husband and someone she cheated on. They know about the alleged misconduct on the man's part, so as her friends, what are they doing about it? I'm just some guy she used to know, and who she hurt. I kept on getting the abuse. I screen captured all the texts she had sent me recently as well as years ago. My number never changed, and I never delete anything, and have decided to stop taking high roads on social media and just blast all their feeds with her texts where she begged me to take her back and she admitted to cheating on me. Finally, they left me alone. Now she is still texting me complaining about what I said to the mutual acquaintance and accusing me of never loving her and that I was an evil person. I never replied to her. I feel good about what I did, and in my own sick way, I feel like I have closure. Claire, if you're reading this, fuck OFF and I crushed my ex-wife's hopes after she cheated on me. Bit of background, I'm 36M as of now. The characters have been a bit altered by their names. Rebecca, my ex-wife, now 34, James, my collage buddy and the guy Rebecca cheated on me with, Saladin, my other guy friend, Lisa, Saladin's cousin. So Rebecca and I were what you call college sweethearts. We survived college and the hardships of life. Got married in our early 20s, I was 25, she was 23, ever since we got married, things were rocky. Not from the start, but situation-wise. I was in medical while she was an accounting major. There were things that was okay with me, but was not with her. Despite being married, she acted like she was a free bird, she was. It's a good thing, but there was marital neglect from her side. 2016, she joins James' company as an accountant because it pays well. I was happy because hey, he's a buddy of mine. Slowly she started to complain about things that were in place. She didn't like where we lived, had problems with everything I did, she did not like the food she used to. I'm a great cook and she loved my foods. Our fights intensified by a margin where she would call me names. I'm good for nothing. She earned more than me. Coming to this part later on, drastic turn was here that Rebecca and James were hanging out with our set of mutual friends. I got the word of it and it seemed off. I confronted both of them, to which they both said it was a sudden plan and I was in field. Coincidentally, it happened on the same day I was out of city. They might have planned it beforehand, which I'm not sure of. 2017, the year my marriage blew up. So I was sure there was something because my bedroom became a fucking dead one. I was increasingly paranoid, and whenever I tried to address things, I was turned down. Now I'm not a saint. I constantly yelled at her to tell me what was going on because there was just something off. Your favorite person rarely talks or does stuff with you and they claim it's nothing. Does this sound okay? It was also the year we were at our peak financially because our debts were paid off. My friends and I decided to open up a medical shop that provided medicine shop as a side venture. So one of the friends was Saladin. He proposed that we celebrate it at a pub. When we go there, I notice a girl that looks exactly like Rebecca. She was dancing with another man and it was quite dark. I get a closer look, lo and behold, it's Rebecca and James dancing hand to hand. I wasn't much bothered about it because hey, they're friends. I was here with my colleagues and she was there with her. But it was bothering me. I decided to send her a text asking where was she. She's usually on her way home at this time. She told me she was already at home. Now that was a red flag. I told her to stop lying because she wasn't. I could clearly see her that she was getting paranoid and told me she was on her way. She left the pub afterwards. That night I asked her about James. The look she gave me was as if she saw a ghost because she was not expecting that question. That look was what that told me something was definitely up. If you ask your so about a friend, they should act normally, but the way she acted was abnormal. That night itself, I snooped her phone. Curiosity was killing me. The password was changed so I couldn't see the phone. The next day, I saw her password and snooped it. There were hundreds of thousands of texts right there. Countless nudes, calling him daddy, degrading comments. My wife and I made a vow to each other that if there was ever anything we needed to explore, we would be transparent to each other. She broke that vow too. She confided about him how much thrill she felt that night at pub. I went through everything. What hurt the most was she herself told me if one of us ever got bored of the other or needed to spice things up, we will let each other know. She destroyed everything. I couldn't look at her the way I used to anymore. I cried the night and confronted her stupidly without any evidence the next morning. She yelled at me and stormed out after telling me I was abusive and insane. She told all our friends that I was abusive. That afternoon, they created a messenger group where everyone ganged up to troll me. When she came home that night, she told me she was in love with James and wants a divorce. I told her to talk first, but it turned into her berating me. I yelled at her and she called the cops. I was asked to spend the night elsewhere. I went to my sister's, and when I returned the next morning, James' car was here. He spent the night here. There was nothing needed to explain. He was doing it on purpose. Hell, she was doing it on purpose. I went to see a lawyer. As we did not have a prenup, she already filed a complaint about me being abusive. It didn't look good for me. Not one did she try to apologize. Not one did she try to make amends. Our country law doesn't count infidelity as a fault. So even with that, she's entitled to half of my everything. But her complaint can sue me up. Few days after that, where I was still living with my sister, I tried contacting Rebecca, but she won't reply to me. Rebecca hit me up telling me we should get divorced. That's it. 12 years of relationship, 4 years of marriage, and she ends it with a text. I was fucking convinced that James was taking my place. She handed me the divorce papers. Everyone from our friend circle was convinced that I was a fucking abuser and James was her savior. She did the right thing to cheat on me. We were officially divorced during the start of 2018. She was already dating James open during our divorce. He was her life. I lost my job, my house, my reputation in her little affair. I had to change the city to move someplace else to restart again. Saladin helped me massively in that fresh start. He got me a decent paying job that was nowhere like my previous one, but it was better than the rest. We became close buddies while I was working to earn back what I had. Dating life was over for me. I just couldn't trust anyone. It was a complete NC between me and Rebecca. Last I heard was she moved in with James. They were doing great. Revenge part. End of 2020, my life was actually blowing up. COVID helped our cause with broken backs but filled our pockets. Our pharmacy venture turned huge, so I was able to make much money. I met a friend of mine from whom I got a tip that James and Reb were done. James cheated on her and left her. But Reb had a child with James. He was absent since birth, so he did not sign the birth certificate, so Reb is raising that child as a single parent. She tried dating, but she was not over me or James, the audacity. Part of me was happy with it, but gosh, I really missed her. I sent her an email asking how was she doing. She wasn't expecting to hear from me. We exchanged mails and reconnected. Our first meet was in 2021 after several years. She looked like shit. She gained weight, lost the charm, and looked utterly exhausted all the time. Frankly, just her look made my blood boil and triggered me, but I also want to take my revenge on her. Life had already done that on my part, but I'm an asshole. I wasn't done with her. She told me about James and reopened the earlier wounds. I got my closure, which made me feel a bit better, I guess. She said she was sorry. She wasn't thinking straight what she was doing. James poisoned her mind against me. I told her I will forgive her if she comes clean to everyone and clears my name out. She did that, losing a lot of friends, but she deserved that. My name was clean. She wanted us to date again, clear words, make me raise that asshole James child. I told her I would agree to it, but we needed to date and marry first. Only then I will legally adopt her child. That little guy is adorable and I had taken a liking to him. Here is the truth, I was already seeing someone. Pretty safe to say I was cheating on that woman with Reb. She was a client of mine from a different country. We were in a LDR. Reb and I were living in different cities, so I never moved in with her. But I played it well by saying I need to travel for business. So I was only getting Rebecca's hopes up to crush her like she crushed me. We were getting intimate, but condoms were used. Rebecca felt she found love again. I pushed her to therapy to get her be normal again. Everyone was commenting how she was getting more happier with me. She would praise and then say sorry. Do little things for me that she used to when she was married to me. Trust me when I say, I had a lot of emotions attached to this woman. I considered my revenge if it was a good thing to break her heart. She might be traumatized for a lifetime. But she did not think of my heart and we were married. Why should I think of hers? Her birthday was coming up last year, October, lockdown was eased up and my someone, it's Lisa, was in my city. For the birthday gift, I grabbed Rebecca for ring shopping. She picked out her favorite ring, then I got it wrapped. She was elated because of that. That night, she came up to me crying that she was sorry for hurting me. She looked genuinely remorseful, but I had no feelings for her except indifference. Lisa was Saladin's cousin. I already told her everything beforehand. She was against my revenge idea, but I managed to convince her somehow. She was uncomfortable with it, but understood that I needed to go through it. On Rebecca's birthday, I drove her to our favorite spot when we were married. It's a nature's place. Lisa was already waiting there. I introduced Lisa to Rebecca that Lisa's my GF. Rebecca went white and asked me what does she mean. What is she then? I introduced her to Lisa as Rebecca, my ex-wife and FWB. There and then, I proposed to Lisa with that ring. Rebecca went man and started yelling, to which I replied, how the F can she expect us to work out when she nuked us? I'm never dating a dirtbag like her again. She asked me again and again if we meant nothing. I told her nope. Sleeping WTH her was compensation for the pain. I got her to clear out the pain she put me through. Lisa was holding me back. She saw Rebecca was hurting. I told Rebecca that she needs to leave. She told everyone that I cheated and I was an asshole. This time, I took it as a pride. Everyone saw the dirtbag she was. She cheated on me and made me pay a high price for a falsified abuse. Now she wants me to raise her kid and date her? The last we connected was in December of last year. She wrote me a letter that how much sorry she is because she can't imagine putting me through the pain that she already put me through. She hoped I'd live a better life. Last I heard, she was completely uninterested in dating. Looks shit. As of me, I and Lisa stopped dating. There were differences between us. I'd like to add an edit, people who are saying I'm worse than my ex. Can you please, at least for the love of God, point out how am I worse than her? She cheated. I loved her and she fucking cheated on me. She costed me my home, my job, my image, my reputation, my friends. I was an abuser to everyone. I gave her a taste of her own medicine, yes, by hurting someone else. Now I'm worse than her? I don't want judgment. This is nuclear revenge and I'm sharing my revenge stories. I may emotionally scarred her, but that's what she did to me.